Good evening, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza with the final track guide for the TNT Season 38 in the Radical RXC. It's been actually from at least from what I've watched on the various Twitch streams, it's been a fun car I think to drive. I've enjoyed driving on the track guides. Seems you guys enjoy driving in the races, and heading into the last race of the season, we've got a tie for first between I think it's Hitman and let me pull the sheets up. I think it was Hitman and I want to say let me just pull it up. Hitman and Stewie. That's so guys tied at 356 points apiece. Landrill's in third at 331. So and I don't remember how many points are awarded for which position, but should either Hitman or Stewie falter, I think Landrill's close enough back to take advantage if he finishes well. So, and I think for the last race of the season, it's kind of interesting that I would say of all the tracks of the season, VIR Grand West is probably the most difficult one we're going to drive. Just from a technical standpoint, it's got a great combination of high-speed corners, elevation changes. The infield is probably going to frustrate a lot of people just because I think there's going to be very limited opportunities to pass, and you could get bogged up in traffic. So some of that may impact pit strategy. But anyhow, for any of these track guides, same thing I always do. So I'm just going to go out and run an out lap just to kind of refresh my memory a little bit, and then we'll do a slow lap, and I'll take it turn by turn, things I look for, kind of what my intention is, what I think the car likes, how it handles to get the most out of a lap, and then I'll do a mock race to kind of put the rubber to the road and kind of validate if what I've been saying is actually works, and then maybe point out some situations of hey, here's a great place to pass, here's where it's not. So let's go ahead and start test drive. Yeah. I would say of all the tracks I've ever driven in Forza, I have spent the most time at this particular layout. Back when Forza 6 came out and they had that Porsche expansion pack that added VIR, I kind of got obsessed with Grand West doing lightning laps. And I think it's Car and Driver that does that. They every year take a group of cars and spend a couple of days on track with them to see how fast they can make them go. It's really a challenging race course. It's almost, say, if you wanted all the characteristics of the Nürburgring, but in a much smaller layout, VIR is a really good track for that. I did that in fourth. Dad talks so much. Usually I've been doing that in fifth. Now, this particular one, when we were helping Matt tune the Radical, and he was trying to figure out the schedule, he knew he wanted to run one of the longer versions of VIR. And so between this and East, I said you should probably do Grand West, mainly because it incorporates most of the track that you guys should be familiar with, and it just incorporates then the little bit of this infield. That's an out lap of VIR. So let's take it turn by turn, section by section. So coming down the front stretch, in anger, 2, 3, 4. So that's usually, if you can't see the braking line, I'm braking at about the fourth board in there. Actually, I just fired it in there really fast. What is that fourth board? 2, 3. So about the 3 board. So if your eyes are good enough at speed to see it, it's the 3 board, or it's the 4th board in line. So the 4th one you pass. It lines up really nicely with the braking line. So I use that as a reference. If you look at the track map, you can see that this first turn at VIR, it's pretty sharp on entry, and it kind of starts to open up on exit. So I'm actually, when I'm braking, I'm getting all the way down to 2nd. I like to hug the inside, and you'll bring the car out just a little bit and start to roll back into the throttle, and I usually then kind of try to double apex it there, get the car to about here. I do take it in 2nd gear. It is a slow enough corner that as you start to roll back into the throttle, this is, I think if you guys saw in the party chat where I was talking about, hey, if you're using TC, there's a lot of places on this track where if you don't have TC on, the rear tires are going to spin up as you get back to power. That turn 1 is one of them. And again, it's never, for me, it's never a case of it's going to spin up so suddenly that it's going to snap the car, oversteer, and you're going to be facing backwards. But it is enough that the back end will kick out a little bit. And again, if you don't run TC and you like doing that to help rotate the car a little bit more where you need to, that's great. But just that turn 1, especially as you get back to power, back end will want to kick out a little bit. So just be mindful of it. Rolling up through the gears here. The line I take through here is a little bit different. So I'll follow it in here, and I'll brake right about where that curbing ends. And I think when I get into the race, either I'm going to be following the braking line or I might be a little bit inside it. For me, this car has enough grip and downforce on it where I don't need to extend all the way out to the curbing on the right side. It's set up for the next corner, which I think is NASCAR. Part of the reason is if I don't have to go all the way out there, anytime I usually go out there too much and I drop the right sides on that curbing on the outside, and it upsets the car and I go straight in the grass. So I usually take somewhat of a shallower line through here. Stu, I think, historically, he takes a little bit wider. He likes a bit of that wider entry. So just keep in mind and watch what other drivers are doing, because one of the things that's very tempting, especially if you're used to taking the shallow line and you're following somebody and they set up a little bit wider, it's going to look really tempting to kind of stick your nose in there and stuff a pass. If you are not fully alongside, and by fully alongside means that you do not see any part of their car on your screen, there's a risk that they're going to chop your nose off. And the other thing too is if they're all the way wide out and you're all the way shallow, they may not even see you as well, even if you are fully alongside. So it's one of those. Hopefully, if you're going to try and stick a pass here, that the other guy's going to give you a little bit of room on the inside, and likewise that you're able to give a little room on exit. But so again, I'll do a quick braking back where that curbing ends there. The back end might slide out a little bit under braking, just depending on where the weight's transferred. If it's still a little bit on the right side, back on the wiggle. But I'll brake, and then I'll actually release the brake and turn in, and then start to roll back into the power. 2nd gear up to 3rd, and I'll use a little bit of the exit curb here. Hashtag me personally, I believe that the track limit line should continue from where it is on the white thing ahead of this rumble strip. I think it should just be on that green all the way back. It should be able to really use a lot of this exit curbing, but Forza decided that they wanted it to be where it meets the asphalt. So I don't agree. It'll create some ticky-tack time penalties, but just be aware of that. 3rd gear here. Usually I'm really focused on the braking line where it's telling me to brake. It's kind of a rhythm thing. You might, as you're getting up to speed, you might just want to try and correlate that with any of these dirt patches on the right side. If it seems to line up, that gives you an additional reference point, especially if you're in traffic. For this next turn, these next 2 turns in the race, I'll do it in 2nd. Again, it's just kind of one of those feelings where I feel the car gets off this corner in second a little bit better. You can do it in third. And I think what works best for me is it's as I come out of that previous corner, give it a little bit of a gas, let off, short shift to third before I really turn in for this corner here. Use a little bit of the inside curbing, let the car drift out. Again, slowly rolling into the throttle. I don't think I'm at full throttle at any point here because it's all setting up for this next turn, which for me is just a lift and turn in and then start to roll back in. The other thing I'm not going to do is anytime, and we'll test this theory out, anytime you see the concrete curbing like that and it doesn't have the green and white stripe curbing next to it, stay off of it. Especially this one. This one will bite you because what you're trying to do at this point is you're trying to set the car up and you're going to turn it in to the right. It's going to throw the weight to the left side of the car. And if you barely drop the left rear while you're trying to do all of that, it's going to be enough to lose grip and it's going to kick the back of the car out. You're going to go slideways and hopefully recover it and keep going without causing too much calamity behind you. But again, it's just a quick lift off in third. Roll it in here. You can use a little bit of that inside curbing. And usually I'll clip this curbing. And then you just kind of then thread the needle straight out to here. And then I just let it come all the way out to the right side. So third, fourth, I may even be in fifth. I'm going to stop here for a second. Now we're hitting, I always forget if it's called the climbing S's or the uphill S's, but it's climbing uphill S's. This you can take flat out. Unlike the Schumacher S last week, you can do this flat out. I would highly recommend it. I'd say get used to it, try it. I've been doing it in fifth, but you saw my outlap, I did it in fourth. So I think play around with the gearing. I think fifth is a little more comfortable. That's my opinion here. So I've stopped here because this is about the point where this access road, kind of the leading edge of this access road meets the main track. This is what I'm using then to start to bring the car back across the left to the entry to the climbing S's. I'll probably barely touch this here as I'm still on full throttle. Let me just slow down here for a second. This will be interesting as you guys practice and talk about this. This is another one of those areas where I think wheel users have an advantage because you can be a little bit more precise and smooth with your steering than for those of us on controller. But the intent is the same. You want to. I think usually what you'll see me do when I first start trying to get up to speed is I'll be a little wide and I'll turn it in late. Cut across this curb here, hopefully get it lined up where I don't have to steer that much. Maybe barely steer it a little bit here for this part. And then bring it back across. And cresting this hill, you really don't want to be any more than halfway out in the track. And you want to try and take this crest as straight as possible. One of the things, I'll see if it happens again, because I ran a couple practice races. What I'm finding with the climbing S's here is you want to be as smooth as you can, as minimal as you can with your steering coming up through here, especially for this last left-hander as it crests the hill. If you're getting behind in your steering and you still have your foot in the gas and you're trying to really put a lot of steering as you crest this hill, it's going to get the back end of the car light and it's going to step out and it's going to get a little out of shape. It kind of bit me a couple of times, and I think this is one of those cases where fresh tires with all the downforce, you've got all the grip in the world, but as they wear, your smoothness over this crest and the angle that you've got the car and how you have the weight transferred is going to affect how it handles as it crests the hill. So I would say try and get in the habit to be as straight as possible. And again, I think about here is about probably the ideal position. You really don't want to be all the way to the right and trying to bring it back across. It may mean that, again, if you're in traffic, it's probably less of a risk, because if you're going to be in traffic coming up through here, you're probably going to be down a gear in fourth and you're going to be feathering the throttle anyway. But again, on your own, I think fifth gear, be as smooth as possible uh, up into this part here. Braking here for this next corner is it's a quick dab of the brake to get to woe it down a little bit, get some grip in the front, and turn in. Um, I'll rely on the braking line a bit more for this than other places, but over the years for the laps I've run here, there is a little bit. It's it'll be easier to see at speed, but as you crest this hill before the entry to the next corner, there's a little dip in the asphalt, and that kind of also corresponds with about where you're going to be braking. It also kind of lines up where the catch fence ends and that tree is. It's probably a little late for this car, but we'll just keep an eye on that as I do the laps, or when you do your own laps, just kind of note where, hey, I'm braking here. Where's that tree? Um, that's going to help you kind of, again, you're in traffic, you can't see your reference line, the grip line. You know, find other things offline that you can quick point your eyes to. And again, also if you kind of got your eyes up looking for that tree or where that is in relation to your braking point, it's going to get your eyes up and looking ahead to where the corner is. So again, enough talking. So back up, I'm up in fifth gear. So it's quick brake and turn in. I tend to stay off this curbing. This is one that I tend to be late a lot of times with. So I think it's one of those when you get it right, this turn is fantastic. The car just flows out. You exit out on the right side, and you're right back in the power and accelerating up towards Oak Tree. That tire barrier is not going to be there, so it's a little. I think that's part of the reason why I don't try to attack the curbing on the inside is mainly because I'm scared I'm going to clip the tire barrier. You won't have that issue in the race. If you're late for this corner, the consequence is you're going to go off on the right side and you're going to go into the grass, and it's going to take you a bit to get back on. Just again, be mindful coming back on that you're trying to merge back onto the racetrack, on the right side. You don't want to try and come out to take the normal corner. Just get it out on the right side of the track and then figure kind of reset and get back on the racing line as you exit Oak Tree. But here, fourth gear. Let the car come out. I forget if I'm in fifth or not. Maybe not. So what I'm kind of aiming towards, you'll see the braking line as you're coming up through here, but kind of as I come out and I'm starting to bring the car back across, if you can kind of see, I am kind of pointed straight towards, I'm going to say a corner worker shack there, heading up to into Oak Tree. The braking is going to somewhere be between two and one, is I think where you're braking at. The hard part with this corner, actually, it's going to be closer to one. I think it's going to be one where we're braking at. The hard part with this turn is you're bringing the car back across the track, the left, setting up for a right turn. So you're bringing the car back across, and depending on the angle that you're at as you bring the car back across, if you're having to steer the car right to get it parallel with the left side of the track here as you're going to braking, one, it'll unsettle the back end a little bit, and if you don't give yourself, you have no margin of error on the track here. So if you so much as barely drop the left rear off as you're trying to brake for this corner into the grass, it's going to suck you straight off into off in the grass, and then it's another one of those VIR. There's plenty of runoff space, but that just means it's forever to get back on the track if you drop tires. So it's down here. So fourth gear down to third. Through here, I bring it all the way out. As I'm bringing the car out, I'll drop it to second. My eyes, I'm going to be looking for those Coke signs. I know if I can get my eyes up and find that left Coca-Cola sign, that I know that the apex and the curbing is just right behind it. It kind of helps get me oriented to look for that next apex. So usually what I've been doing is I'll bring it wide out and I'll drop it to second, and I'll differ from the braking line here a little bit. I like taking a wider entry and a later apex, which does mean it'll open me up for if someone's right behind me that they might try and stick a pass, you know, stick it on the inside. So it's something I got to be aware of or be conscious of. But that's my preference line there, is to wider entry, late apex, second gear, roll it out, up to third. And again, this exit curbing is kind of back on the exit in NASCAR. I wish that the track limit line was between the green tarmac and the green and yellow curbing. I think that's ideally where it really should be. So you can use a little bit of this curbing here. Just be careful. It's, another place to get a ticky-tack time penalty. Out here on the left side of the track, second, third, fourth. You'll eventually get it up to fifth. The line I usually take as I go up the hill is I just kind of center up on the center seam here that you can see in the middle of the screen. And then as I just kind of keep the car straight, the track just kind of comes back to me so that I'm set up on the left side as I hit the braking for the turn affectionately known as bitch. And it is. So braking line's going to line up with these guys right here. So you can wave hi to them as you get on the brakes for this turn. And this is another one, fifth gear. I do take this in second. And I do kind of follow the braking line through here. I will take a little bit wider entry. Does want a wider entry and a later apex. Second gear corner, rolling back into the throttle. Do not get your left sides on that curbing as you're trying to get back to power. It will lurch the car to the right. The back end will kick out and it'll bring you back across to the right side. You'll get all out of shape. So it's another one of those. Again, curbing that does not have the green and yellow stripe curbing to the inside of it. So be mindful. So second gear up to third. Usually I usually kind of leave it to the left side here and then just let the kink naturally bring me back to the right. Braking for here is right about the 2 board. And this is a fun one because your brake zone is going uphill, it crests the hill, and your turn it crests the hill down. It's almost kind of like Laguna Seca in that sense, is that you're braking and you really can't see the apex of the corner until you're actually turning in and starting to go downhill. So usually what I use as kind of a reference point there is that light pole is really a good spot that as I'm braking and then I'm starting to release the brake. As that goes out of range, I can start turning in, and that usually will line me up pretty well for the downhill and for these two turns here. Other quick note: we are now, as far as passing zones, obviously, coming up through the S's, getting a good run at Oak Tree, you might be able to pass into Bitch. You might be able to if the guy in front of you gets it squirrely coming out of Bitch. You might get a run and be able to get to the inside, getting into this corner. Hashtag me personally, I think from here almost to the end of the infield is really going to be difficult to pass. There's no, at least for me, there's no prime place to set up a pass. It's mostly going to be passes of opportunity. Somebody goes off, you might be able to squeak by them. It's going to be kind of sketchy, but I think you guys you'll sort that out on school night when you guys can run in a group through here. So for me to hustle the car through these next couple of corners, I will, and I know I've spent a lot of time saying, be careful crossing onto curbing here, that doesn't have the green and yellow curbing on the inside of it. These next couple of turns, you will want to cross over a little bit. Just be mindful. Then, it might upset the car a little bit, but it's going to help you get through the corners better. So usually if I do it right, I'll probably be on the curbing a little bit here, still in third gear. I usually try to cut this as much as I can. And because I'm getting tires into the grass, this is going to cause the car to rotate to the right, which is helpful because that little bit of rotation gets me set up for here, downshifting to second, and I hug the inside line all the way through here. And somewhere about here is probably where I start to roll back into the throttle. This is another area where because it's a very slow corner in second gear, as you roll back into the throttle, the rear tires, if you're not running traction control, are going to spin up. And I say the challenge is if you get it right, the tires will spin up and it'll just rotate the car just enough. You get this nice four-wheel drift out of this corner, and you're pointed straight down to the next set of corners. It's kind of one of those fun things. It's like I like how the car feels and it gets set up, and I think that's the quickest way. Um, so usually bring it out to here. This next corner, I usually bring it back a little bit to the left of center, and I'm keeping an eye on the cones. This is the hardest, these next couple of corners are the hardest to get right as far as getting the braking right and the line right through them. I think this is also going to be the most frustrating part of the track for you guys in traffic. So for me, I'm trying to, it's kind of using the cones that are on the right side. It's usually just I'm braking right as I'm getting to the last cone on the right side. I'm kind of looking at the center, like you've got the two big tents there. I'm looking kind of more at the one on the right to kind of as a kind of a guide to kind of line me up as best I can. And it's up here, and I don't know if second or third is better, but I'll turn in. I don't like getting on this curb. I think you want to stay off of it if you can. If you do barely get on it, it's going to push the car to the left a little bit. So just be aware of that. That'll happen because you can kind of see it. It's kind of got an elevated edge to it. But I'll line up here. This is the one I want to try and cut. So I want to drop a little tires and straighten that out as much as I can. That sign's going to go flying, I'm thinking, on lap one. The other thing, visually, the tire barriers aren't going to be there, so it's going to be probably a little tougher to pick up the apexes, but I think it also gives you a clearer view of the entire way through. So again, I'm going to cut this as much as I can on the inside, and again, crossing over the curbs, depending on how much you're steering, the car might wiggle a little bit as you come off the curbs. Same thing for this one. I'm going to cut this one a little bit if I can, if I get it right, so that it sets me up for here. Third gear, I think I'm still in here, and at this point it's just feathering the throttle, keeping it to the inside, keeping it there, bringing it out, rolling back, probably back to full throttle a little bit at this point, really briefly, and then the turn in here is, I think, might be a quick brake, again, kind of using where those cones end as kind of that brake and turn in point. In third gear, bring the car back across, using that inside curbing there to kind of tell me where the apex is. Then immediately start bringing the car back to the right. If you get this right, you hopefully can be really rolling back into the full throttle at this point. These last two, this corner and the one previous, because it's a really quick transition from turning left to turning right. This is one of those occasions where you bring the car back across here. It is going to be potentially transferring weight completely from one side of the car to the others, depending on how aggressive you are with that, where you're out in the throttle, and if you're running traction control or stability control or whatnot, the car might get a little unsettled through here. Now, rolling back into the throttle, if you get it right and you can get on the power early and the guy in front of you doesn't, let me show you the proper line here is you'll cut that. I'm going to cut this as much as I can so that it puts me straight away onto the left side of the track for the next turn. Now, what you'll probably see in the race, and I'm going to talk about it here, is if you're following somebody and they're slow and they're a little bit slower than you out of the previous right-hander, and you get the timing right, instead of going all the way out to the left side there and cutting that curb, keep the car to the right side, and if you have a run, you might have a shot to outbrake them into roller coaster. It's one of those. It's a risky move. Again, it's another one of those. It's kind of like NASCAR. It's earlier in the lap. It's one of those. If the opening's there, it's going to look tempting. Hopefully, the other guy sees you, because it's going to be very possible that you might take a lunge, and they may not see you and chop across your nose. Again, it's just field of view, and even with the little arrows, sometimes you're not quite sure where people are, and you're hoping they're paying attention to their mirrors. But just understand, if you're going to try this move, there is a bit of risk to it. So I usually take this in second. Slow roll out in the throttle all the way out to the left side. Short shift to third. And out of roller coaster, now we're heading down into hog pen. So I'm going to use this where this curbing ends on the left side. I'm staying off of it. It's another one of those areas where, because I'm turning in and doing a big weight transfer right at that curbing, I don't want to be on it, lest it upset the car. Third gear at this point. Bring the car back across. I usually try to stay off that curbing. It's a quick dab of the brake, and then turning in for hog pen. You can get on that green and yellow curbing, and if you don't get it on too much, it won't unsettle the car. You might be able to get away with it. I try to stay off of it with this car. But if you get that right, now it's all about how quickly can you get back to full throttle. Again, bringing the car out to here, I would stay off this exit curbing, even though it does have the green and yellow on the inside of it. Again, you've already got weight on the left side of the car. You're trying to set up and be full throttle in for this last corner to get back on the main straight. The last thing you want to do is put the left rear on a curbing that's going to unsettle the back of the car and spin the rear tires up and then send you off on the left side. And again, plenty of runoff room. You're not going to hit anything, but then it's going to take you forever to get back across and get back onto the track. So again, rolling back into the throttle. If you're on full throttle at this point, if you think the car is pushing a little bit and that you're going to go wide, just ease off the throttle and roll it right back in. It's just a quick off and on, just to, again, put a little more weight back on the front tires. It'll help the car get out of this corner. Again, exit curbing here. If you get on it a little bit, just make sure you're straight when you do. And then back up on to the front straight. And usually kind of what I look for is you kind of see, and again, as far as you can follow the braking line as far as where to turn in, but just another reference point that I look at, if you look at the inside Armco barrier for the pit lane, you see kind of where it drops off. You see those kind of two big trees that are just above it, kind of off in the haze. As those trees come out from the Armco, then I know I can start turning in. And then you'll just to start to see the inside of the inside turn there. Again, you can kind of clip that, bring the car back out. Again, be mindful of anybody exiting the pits, because hopefully they'll stay to the inside, but they may not. And that's a lap of VIR Grand West. And with that, let's go ahead and finish the test drive and do a mock race. Now, and again, I kind of look at my own lap time, after running some laps and kind of getting a feel for what my pace is. Usually I then kind of take that lap time into how many laps can I do in 35 minutes. And then you factor in a pit stop's going to add another minute or so to that. And that's kind of how I guesstimate, what a half race distance will be, and then gives me an idea of what you guys might have for the actual race. So for that, I think you're probably going to be running close to 30 laps around here. So it is going to be a long race. It is a highly technical race, but a lot of fun. So I'm going to do a 15 lapper. Again, same AI, same bucket penalties, bucket delays, and let's see how I do here. So let's go ahead and start race. I don't have Forza 6 installed on my Xbox anymore. I was half tempted to go is it worth reloading Forza 6 on the Xbox just to see how many thousands of laps I put in here? It's probably too many. If you go to my YouTube channel and you look, there's a playlist for all the lightning laps that I did, and I think it was my early, obsession with recording laps, and I kind of got out of it. Some of them I'm okay with. I was recording the laps through just, recording clips on the Xbox and then trying to use the Xbox's editing sweet, or should I say editing? Well, I'm not going to swear. I've already sworn once with the turn name, but it was a bit painful to use on the native Xbox to kind of put a video together. And I think I just there was a certain point I realized that I was more concerned about quantity instead of quality, and I'm like, screw it, I don't need to do it anymore. This actually, I think, doing these kind of Twitch streams for the track guides, I kind of like better. A little more what I want to do. All right. There's that wheel spin. You even get a little bit of wheel spin. You feel the rears wanting to start to spin up even in third gear in some cases. And again, it's like I'm letting off the throttle and turn in, and I'm starting to roll back in immediately and kind of using the throttle to balance through there. Oh, that's late. And I'm not really getting back on the throttle until I'm past the apex of that corner there. I meant to do that. No, I didn't. Always takes me a few laps to kind of get smooth out. And through this section, really, even on your own, you just need to have patience with the car. Wow, one of the P1s hit it already. You can use a lot of that inside curbing. Usually where I get time penalties is this turn right here. So P1 guy is 9 seconds behind me as I get onto Oak Tree. See how much he closes. I think, at least in my test races, those LMP1 cars are a few seconds quicker than me on their own. But they're not so good in traffic, especially here. Oh, that was late. You just barely got the right side off in the curving there. That could have been bad. Another P1 pitting. Yeah, you can wind it out in third there, or if you want to upshift to fourth. I don't think either is. I don't think there's any correct gearing for that. Driver preference and comfort. Oh, about almost 2 seconds. And then a little bit early for that. Probably by the time cars behind me catch me, catching traffic in front of me, and it get really, really busy. I'm not going to catch the guys in front of me if I keep doing stuff like that. The other habit I've gotten into over the years with that short shift, the next time I start going through a roller coaster there, um, I'll actually lift off the throttle as I shift. And again, it's just to kind of help with the balance of the car. I can put a clean lap in here before I have LMP1 cars behind me. Nope, not going to happen this lap. There's a tank slapper. Oh. Thought I was going off. You know, how it kind of cutting too much, rotated the car a little bit. It's really easy to carry too much speed into the braking for those S's right back there. So here's a question. How many of you, when you're racing Forza and you see a Nissan, do you think of Nissan? This is going to get very interesting. So again, because everybody's a little bit different skill level and comfort, just be prepared to brake through these uphill S's. Ooh, I wasn't expecting to do that. Thank God for downforce. Take a look. See? It's possible, but you know, if you don't really get fully alongside, you'll get your nose chopped off. Oops. A little quicker than I thought I was. Did pretty good defending there. Or at least putting his car at a place where I couldn't really sneak a pass up into Oak Tree. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and pit at the end of lap 8. The P2 cars, some are, well actually no, that's the early prototypes. They tend to be faster in a straight line. Oh, he wasn't, alright, I was fully clear of it. Wasn't sure if I was clear of the, I think that's the Aston. Oh, there's a time penalty. Well, that was a little more, and probably shouldn't have tried that. I'm pitting anyway, so he's probably pitting too. Nope. Good. Straight in. Yeah, so there's a lot of places that it'll be tempting to try and stuff a pass. Okay, 7 laps to go. To the right, everybody's coming. Yep, I'm gonna try it. One Mazda. I'm gonna make this pass work. Well, not this lap. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Turned in too early. Oh, this is gonna be dicey. Ooh, tank slapper. Nope, I'm gonna use the P2 car as a pick. Let's go. Excuse me. Uh-huh. I thought the jack had a little more top end than that. Oh, there he goes. Oh, no, not yet. Oh my god, I'm all the way on the right side. What are you doing? Oh, that was bad of me. No. Yeah, I tried to just duck to the outside of the Porsche and just didn't get it timed right. So I'll just take a look here. Oh, he does too. Just enough. Hate it when they do that. For the dirty lap. More time penalties. Hopefully that Audi doesn't get through. It gets held up by the Chevy here for the infield. I think. Yep, see, stay off that outside curb. I think based off what I'm seeing on the track map, Mr. Pace Bug here, once I get past him, I think that puts me in the effective lead of the race. I think the two guys up front still have to pit. Not the cleanest exit out of Hog Pen. Maybe the guy in the lead did have to pit, or already did pit. Hmm. Wow, lost 2/10. Lost another 10th. $17.1. There's still some 10ths out there, I think. So maybe 2/16s might be possible, Group 5, on a perfect lap. But there it is. That's VIR Grand West. Again, I think it is, of the tracks that have been run this season, I think this is going to be the biggest test. But with that, Stewie, Hitman, good luck. Good luck in that championship. Land rail, be sneaky, use the cheater tune. Maybe you can sneak by both of them, and guess have a great weekend and happy racing.